Hi, welcome to Behind the Badge. I'm Chief Alan Rodbell of Scottsdale Police Department, and with me is Miss Chris Fasal, our community liaison.
Hi, everybody.
How we doing?
We're good. We're in the holiday season. This was as red as I can get for Christmas.
Well, we can
so
probably
it's kind of
change
pink, but it's close enough to Christmas. So.
And you probably can't see us, but this is a holiday tie as well.
Yes, exactly.
But here it is, December
This is our
already.
Christmas attire.
This is as good as it gets. so we're in December already.
I know.
It's been an amazingly fast year for us, anyway.
Yes.
For you all watching 12 of these programs, maybe not so fast, but for us it's been really quick.
Yes, it has.
And we do want to thank our folks here in the studio because they've been wonderful this year. You guys want to turn cameras on each other?
Yeah.
No, right? Al, can I spin it around? Anyway, thank you guys making a great year. It's been a wonderful year.
All you guys, thank you, Amanda, for all that you do for us in HD. How exciting we are.
Which the two of us were thrilled to go to HD.
Yeah, we are.
Anyway, so here we are, end of the year, and we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about some of the charities we're doing, talk a little about crime prevention tips for the holidays. I saw in the newspaper today an article about lights on for making sure people think you're home, that kind of stuff. And so people are thinking about that because people are out, their packages are in the car, they're shopping, carrying things, leaving things maybe unattended while they look for sizes, and so
and not paying attention to their pocketbook or their purse.
Right.
Because I don't know if I ever told you, but I was robbed once when I was Christmas shopping and many years ago, and I was in crime prevention at the time, and so I didn't take my own advice. So if it could happen to me, the reason I'm telling you this is because it could happen to anybody. And basically, I just had my purse on my shoulder, and I did not have it zippered, and I was, of course, trying to find the best sale, and I was up looking at something, and some lady bumped into me, and when I found the top that I wanted and I went to pay for it, I looked at my purse and my wallet was gone. And we searched the store and it was thrown, but they had taken the money out of it, and so I got my credit cards back, thankfully. But that's just one example of how quickly it can happen, and how even if you're educated in this, you just tend to get into the moment, and you need to remember that you have to be careful.
Yeah. Were you buying my gift at the time? Is that when this
happened?
My
gosh, this was long before you were here.
Oh, okay.
This is like in the 90s.
So I have never had my purse stolen.
Oh,
so
good.
I just want to make sure
so
we're clear
good
on
to
that.
know.
Okay. So I've not been a victim of that. So anyway, we're going to talk about that a little bit, okay? And we're going to talk about some of the charities that we have going on, because our employees are just amazing when it comes to doing things to help others during this time of year. And this look, people wonder, like, okay, what happened there? I didn't shave this morning.
You were going to be Santa Claus for your granddaughter.
Yeah, there
you were going to be Santa Claus for Maddie.
There you go. She sees right through that, by the way. So anyway, one of the things we've done traditionally in the Scottsdale PD is we've raised money for charity by allowing officers to grow beards. The male officers grow beards, and the women officers and employees are allowed to wear jeans on Thursdays as well as Fridays, when their uniforms allow that.
Right.
Of course.
Which is so much fun.
And so we've raised money this year for the month of November and December to support Special Olympics.
Yes.
Law enforcement officer torch run Special Olympics, which we're very much involved in.
Yes.
And officers and employees get licenses to actually
and
grow
you have to
hair
have
on
that
your,
license.
on your face.
If you don't carry that license and somebody comes up to you and you have jeans on, it's like, where's your license?
Where's your license?
Yep.
That's right.
You can get a ticket.
At the least. Okay, so anyway, and my traffic officer that's in the room just corrected another opportunity to write something.
We're calling you, Sarge, to come issue tickets.
I'm trying to think of what violation.
We'll come up with something. We'll come up with a PD violation.
So we've got a couple things to do today, all uplifting and a little bit of a reminder of the season. And why don't we start talking about Special Olympics Arizona with Law Enforcement Officer Torch Run, which we're very, very proud of our folks. And so we've got several guests with us today. Why don't you introduce our guests and we can start talking.
Well, great. Well, to my immediate left is Eric Bowles. He is our crime prevention officer for our District 2 station, which is the Civic Center station. Next to Eric is Christy Alonso, and she's our budget manager, and she's over at headquarters. She's in our office, Chief. And on the far left is Sergeant Moore, and he is our traffic sergeant, and has in charge of the honor guard and a bunch of other things that he's done for me. And so many times when I call him, hey Sarge, I need something. So Sergeant Moore's here as well.
Welcome everybody.
Thanks
for being on the program. So Christy, I mentioned Special Olympics, Law Enforcement Officer Torch Run in Arizona. I know you're very much involved in that, and you volunteered recently to co-chair. And there's a couple of big events coming up in the very near future.
There are, Chief. Special Olympics of Arizona is the Law Enforcement Torch Run is the International Chief of Police charity of choice. And this year, our department has just really stepped up. We have a committee of at least 20 people who have agreed to help us not only with fundraising, but more of the awareness of really what Special Olympics is about. The awareness of these athletes getting out of their comfort zone every day they get up, whether it's to go to school, to go to work, to participate in a sport. So one of the events that Special Olympics has done is they call it Over the Edge, and it's rappelling 27 stories down a building. Officer Bowles is actually going to be doing it. This is December 9th, I believe.
Yes.
So it's coming up next Saturday. This year we've got 18 people on our team. So the really exciting thing about that is many of them are afraid of heights. So as we talk about awareness of Special Olympics and the challenges that these athletes face every day, some of our officers are going to try to conquer their fear of heights and understand what it feels like for some of those athletes each and every day. So 18 people, friends and family of Scottsdale Police Department, are representing the Scottsdale Police Department on December 9th.
And this is in downtown Phoenix. It's open to the public, and everyone wants to go see. I forget the exact address, but it's right near the stadiums.
And I think we have some photographs that I think we sent that'll be on the program and kind of show what it kind of looks like them rappelling down that building. I'll give the money, and I don't want to conquer that fear. I'm sorry, I'll conquer other fears, but I would be screaming like crazy. Yes, I would be screaming. I can't do it. I can't do it. I would freeze in the middle, and then have to get a helicopter to come get me. It wouldn't be worth it.
There's no peer pressure in the world that's getting me to go off that building off the side. I've actually been on the top looking down. That was good enough. The first year that we did this, because I was approached to do it, and I said no. I said I'd love to, but unfortunately I'm going to be available that day. I said no, and I said I asked someone in the department, and Chief Duggan, who's now in Chandler, volunteered to be the Scottsdale representative and do that as when he was a deputy chief here at Scottsdale. And it's grown from one person that was volunteered to do that to 17 people.
I know,
that's
amazing.
Huge over a period, I believe, 3 years.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's pretty impressive. Now, so the folks know, each person that participates has to raise a minimum of $1,000.
That's correct.
Right? And I do believe that they raised in one day, well, they raised over a period of time, but raised for that one day, well over $200,000 to $300,000, I think, in donations
for Special Olympics.
For Special Olympics.
Yes,
from other agencies
Correct.
as well as our agency.
That participate. Everybody that
Right.
participates. We raise the money we need to raise. Others raise the money they need to raise. But it's a huge boost to the needs of our Special Olympians here in the state of Arizona.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to watch. I'll be more than happy to give money and be there and watch somebody else do it.
And we do other events during the year. So
Yeah.
the growing the beard and the wearing the blue jeans, that really is to raise funds to send some of our employees as coaches to the games that are being held in Seattle, I think towards the summer months.
July.
Okay. And we have to raise the funds to be able to send the folks to go to actually participate. And they do unified sports. And unified sports means that Special Olympians are playing side by side with other members of our community and law enforcement officers and others. And what a great opportunity to kind of work with these young people and just have a good time and just have fun and reassure folks and build confidence. And I think we get as much out of it as anybody.
It's so much fun. I know when SIPAs gave money to Coronado High School for their uniforms for Special Olympics, for their cheerleading,
yes.
And they were so tickled pink. They had such a great day that time. So it's such a great cause, and if anybody has never been involved in Special Olympics, it's something you really should do and look into. But there's other things too, like the gas. Isn't there a
We do.
gas?
There's Special Olympics has some events that are planned throughout the year. Field of Dreams was held just back in October. There's also a Tip-A-Cop, which was held at Mikhail's this year. They partnered with Mikhail's, which was phenomenal. And Fry's does the Field of Dreams, where those folks that are getting gas, our officers are there to help either wash their windows or fill gas if they want. Volunteers are there, and if they choose to make a donation, that's great. We also had athletes out there with their gold medals on and their silver medals that they were ecstatic to talk to the public about what those medals represented, as well as how much they meant to them.
Yes.
And Chief, if I may, we've had more officers volunteer their time with unified sports this year than we have in previous years.
Wonderful.
We have officers playing on golf teams, on bowling teams, as well as the football team with Unified Sports this year. So there's been a huge increase in participation from a volunteer standpoint as well, not just the fundraising from the department.
Wonderful. And I do want to say thanks to the citizens of Scottsdale and other folks that have participated in those fundraisers at the Fuel of Dreams pumps, as well as at the Tip a Cop events, because without their support, we would not be able to finance the actual events that occur to support these young folks. And so thank you for all that you do in your leadership, and you're not going over the edge.
I am not going over the edge. I will be there in support of those going over the edge.
Well, let's all say goodbye to Eric.
Yeah,
Don't even say that.
I'm filmed now.
Make sure you check your harnesses, okay? Please double check those harnesses.
Eric, welcome. It's good to have you here. You're one of our
Thank
CPOs, one of our crime prevention officers at one of the district stations.
Correct.
Right? And you're here to talk a little about things to be aware of and be just alerted to during not just this time of year, but all year, but especially while we're going into the holiday season.
Yeah, Chris had a great example. Fashion Square Mall this Black Friday had upward of 130,000 people come through the mall. And what Chris said is exactly it. You have 130,000 people all together. It's very crowded. It's easy to get distracted. So be very aware of your personal property. Don't set your cell phone down and then turn away to talk to the cashier. If you have bags with you, it's easy to set them down. Make sure they're in your area or in your control. Kids, even watch your kids when it's crowded. We had quite a few lost kids at the mall. Luckily we found them all, but it's easy for them to run away when you're at the mall. So just be very aware of your space when you're in and out of the mall. Also in today's climate, it's unfortunate, but a lot of times people, you used to be able to set things down and walk away. Now when you set bags down and people see you walk away, it can actually set off alarm bells. So try to make sure someone's staying with the packages whenever you leave, or their attended packages. When you go to your vehicle, that would be the next one. Remember to put packages in your trunk before you leave, not when you get. A lot of people mistake that. They'll arrive somewhere, go, oh, I need to put my packages in the trunk. Open the trunk, someone watches you put 10 bags in the trunk, and then you walk away. In Scottsdale, up to 80% of our vehicle break-ins are either unlocked vehicles or with valuables in plain sight. So there's a lot of little things we can do to just keep ourselves protected. Walk and try to park by lights. If you're walking to the parking lot and it's dark, try to find someone to walk with or a group of people to walk with your personal safety. But just, Chris, you hit on the head. It's so easy to get distracted this time of year, and really just staying focused on your safety is so key.
You know, one of the things we talk about is having a plan before you go to the mall with the kids. So if in some reason you do separate, the kids know to go someplace, and you know to go to that place to locate them or relocate them.
Yes.
So have a plan.
Yes, that's so big, because I would say, Chief, probably 80% of the people don't. And the kids get distracted, and you're right, they have I don't know where to meet, I don't know what to do, the parents are away. There's always that little initial panic, so that's a great idea.
And we were going to have some additional staffing at the malls during the holiday season.
Yes, every weekend, and starting 2 weeks before the holiday season, we'll have staffing at Fashion Square Mall every day. And I'm not sure, but I think up north, maybe on the weekends and on the busy shopping days, we'll have additional officers at the mall. Okay.
And I'm under the impression also the sheriffs are still doing their posse patrol at the mall?
Correct. They're assisting us on the weekends.
Okay. We want to say thank you to MCSO for that.
Yeah,
thank you.
It really helps.
So what other tips might you have for folks that are just novice shoppers? Not like Chris, but novice shoppers.
Person that was teaching crime prevention on top of it. How embarrassing is that?
Yes. In our downtown, we also have, we tend to focus on the malls, but in our downtown, in our small shops, a lot of times when you're window shopping, you think you're in a more intimate setting. So we tend, again, to drop our guard down when we're kind of walking around and just window shopping, and you're in a very comfortable setting. Old Town is great, and the environment's great this time of year. And again, people tend to think, oh, it's Scottsdale, I'll just set my bags down and go inside. And you always have to be aware when you're out and about.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it very much.
You.
And thanks for being here, and thanks for participating in the Special Olympics.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Casey, good to see you, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Yourself?
Good, thank you. We had a big kickoff just yesterday.
We did.
Down at the state capitol. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, the beginning, or actually right after Thanksgiving, we start the Holiday DUI Task Force. and it's put on by the Governor's Office of Highway Safety, where we have all the East Valley agencies will get together in different locations and put on a combined command post task force where they send out officers in a given area to saturate that area and look for possibly impaired drivers, whether that be from alcohol or drugs. So you'll have approximately 80 to 100 officers in a given city at a given time looking for impaired drivers to keep people from making the bad decision of getting behind the wheel and possibly hurting themselves or somebody else. It's been going on since I've been an officer, and that's almost 19 years.
It's pretty impressive. There must have been 200 police officers down there from jurisdictions from all over the state of Arizona, police officers and sheriffs. Corrections was represented. Federal agencies were represented as well. It's a huge partnership to keep the streets of Arizona safe. And there's a huge commitment from the Valley in terms of task force during this period of time to make sure the streets are again safe and free of drunk drivers and impaired drivers.
We typically see an uptick during holiday events related to impaired driving, and December is no different from that because of all the holiday parties, Christmas parties. So it's a very busy time for us, and my guys are working a lot of hours, but their entire goal is to make people safe. And sometimes people get it, sometimes they don't.
And what people see is they see other jurisdictions, police cars with other jurisdictions in our jurisdiction, and wonder what that's all about. That's a partnership. And in Arizona, law enforcement officers are officers all throughout the state, so they can come into our, they have authorization, so they can come into our city, and they come into our city under our supervision, with our in cooperation, in partnership. So they're very much part of our team, and we go and share our time with them in their cities as well during the course of this holiday season. So when people see that, they're here for all the same reasons.
If you see Peoria stopping you at one of the task force, stop, because they're not in the wrong city. They're going to stop you, and all they do is they cite them into our court, Sarge.
They can.
And that's how you do it.
They can cite it into our court, or they can actually cite into a justice court. So there's a number of courts throughout the valley that are specific to that not jurisdiction, but to that regional area.
Everything.
Yes, and they can. It depends on what court they want to cite in. Some will actually go back to their city because their cities. I look at a DUI squad or a traffic section as a patrol support. So we're there to help out the patrol officers who may contact the impaired drivers. So we don't want to leave them stranded if they're dealing with other things that they come across a DUI driver. We're there to help them out as well. So.
And we have one program here in Scottsdale that we created, which I'm extremely proud of, which has taken the country and outside the jurisdiction, the boundaries of our country by storm, and that's Know Your Limits campaign. Whereas we may only be able to arrest a certain number of DUI drivers before we're out of resources to make arrests. We're tied up with those procedures and processes. Well, the Know Your Limits, we can actually touch base with these folks before they get behind the wheel of the car, which is really what we want. We don't want to stop an impaired driver. We want to stop somebody from getting a car impaired and causing serious injury to someone else or themselves. And so talk about that program, because your numbers there are just huge.
But you asked us to start the program back in, I believe it was 2010 timeframe, to educate people about impaired driving, to talk to them about what the penalties are, what the repercussions of being involved in a collision related to DUI driving, what the criminal penalties as well as the financial responsibilities would be if you got arrested for a DUI. So what we do is we go out and contact people on a consensual basis. We go up and say, hey, would you like to know what your blood alcohol content approximately is? And we allow them to blow in a preliminary breath test, one of the little box devices that we carry around that have a tube on it. And everybody gets a brand new tube, so it's not like you're sharing somebody else's. So they blow in that, and while we're talking to them about that and waiting for the results to come back on the device, we explain the costs. We explain. We ask people, what do they think they are? Do they think they're over the legal limit? Do they feel like they could drive right now? Because one of the typical responses we would receive from people when we arrested them for DUI was, I didn't know how high I was. I didn't know I was impaired. So once we get a reading, we show them what the reading is, and it allows them to get a approximate value for where they are and if how they feel and if they could operate a vehicle or not, and would they be arrested or not. It initially started out where people were very concerned that it was a
trap.
A trap, absolutely. I want to say coercive in its methods, but people come up to us like you wouldn't believe now when we do the Phoenix Open every year, or the Scottsdale Open, I should call it correctly. But, they will have agencies from all over the valley will assist us in contacting people at the gates and we contacted over 10,000 people last year just at that event. So it's amazing how many people you run into. This year alone, with the details we do in the downtown area, as well as Barrett-Jackson for next year, the Open, the Scottsdale Culinary Festival, and some other events that we do, this year we contacted over 13,000 people, and probably next year will be closer to 14.
Isn't that amazing? So
and
how many?
Basically, I'm sorry, just to clarify first, because people don't know what that means. You're not like stopping people driving and doing that.
No.
You're talking about stopping people like that are downtown drinking in our
Right.
bar
Walking
areas
the parking
or walking
lots.
in the
Right.
parking lots and stuff like that. And so these are like proactive.
Exactly.
Not arrest, contact, sorry, a pro contact. And so could you just quickly tell us what the penalties are? Because I don't even know. I know there's an excessive DUI and a regular DUI is an A and a B, and there's a lot of things, and how much it costs. Those are the bottom lines of what people on maybe don't know.
How long do we have?
Just a few minutes.
Oh,
Just do it
okay.
quickly.
There's a misdemeanor DUI offense which related to, I think, over a .08 within 2 hours of driving. You have an extreme DUI offense, which is either a .15 or a .2. One is super extreme, which is the .2. Anything above that related to other stipulations related to suspended driver's license, who's in your vehicle, if they're juvenile or not, if you have 2 prior in a certain amount of time, can make it a felony offense. You're talking on a misdemeanor, you're talking at least a couple days in jail, in a jail facility. You're talking thousands of dollars in fines, suspended driver's license. Your car could be impounded for anywhere from 1 day to 30 days. At felony, you can talk about months in prison. So it's pretty substantial. People don't understand that. They think that it's not that big a deal. And in Arizona, we have some of the strongest penalties for driving impaired of any state in the United States. And I think that's a great thing, because we need to reduce the number of people who are making that mistake.
So if I throw a math quiz at you, you're probably up to this. 180-pound man
Okay.
can have any drinks before they reach impairment?
It depends on what they've had to eat and how long they drink that alcohol in. The longer you drink it, the longer it stays in your system. I'll use an approximate. We look at an approximate value of a .015 before of alcohol being burned out of a body per hour. So if a person comes to you and they're at their peak of a .15, and you don't know if they're at their peak or not, but if their blood alcohol content is a .15, which is extreme in the state of Arizona, it's going to take 10 hours to get all that alcohol out of their system.
Wow.
So on a
That's
base
why
value.
sometimes you smell people the next day that
Right.
still smell like alcohol, because it's coming out of their pores. But Sarge, you did, that's the first offense as far as like thousands of dollars and
Right.
going to jail for 2 days and everything, because I want people to understand this is not your second time or your third time, and it's just a misdemeanor.
Right.
It can affect your career, your life,
Absolutely.
your livelihood. And with
if you
Uber,
and you want to talk about attorney fees, there's attorneys who will charge anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 just to retain them for a DUI at trial.
So the value of the program we're talking about really is the fact that when all that happens, that common sense and reasoning goes, that's the first thing that goes in the frontal lobe. That's out the door. Nobody's making sound decisions here, right? So
they're having a good time.
They're having a good time. So what's important about this program is we're actually telling people,
don't drive.
you can't drive.
Right.
You think you're fine, but you're not fine. And we're catching them before they get behind the wheel of a car,
Yes.
and they're finding an alternative way home.
Right.
So of the people we've touched, 14,000 people that we may test, what percentage of that has no business driving home?
Of that percentage, I would say probably easily half, if not
Huge.
more. Right.
7,000 people.
I look at an average, and I tell people this all the time, that on a given night in downtown Scottsdale, you have probably 25,000 people on a given night, on a weekend night, will come in to party and have a good time and just play, have a good time down in the area. Of those, you're going to expect probably half are going to be over the legal limit of .08. So you're talking anywhere from 10 to 15,000 people who are over the legal limit. Of those, probably half are going to decide to drive home drunk.
Yeah.
So we can't contact everybody as DOI officers on traffic stops. There's no way we can do it. Know your limits is the only way you can increase the number of people you're going to contact and try to reduce that.
Yeah. Very proud of you guys, proud of the program. Thanks for all you do, keeping our streets safe. The fact you give up your whole holiday month to be out there at night, and the partnership we have, Governor's Office of Highway Safety and the support we get from them. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate that. So you also here talk about charity.
I am.
So let's add on that a little bit.
One of our former crime scene specialists got involved in a program a couple of years ago related to an orphanage in Arizona. I think it's actually based out of Mesa. called the Child Crisis of Arizona. If you want to go to their website, it's childcrisisaz.org. They have up to 1,000 children in their orphanage that are coming from families that may have had no opportunity to ever have them experience a Christmas before. So this employee is Kristen Alexic. She's currently in the academy right now and going to become a police officer for us. So last year she came to me and said, I have 200 kids that I'm trying to provide Christmas presents for. And what she does is she goes out to entities within our city and asks them if they want to adopt a child for Christmas. What she does is send them information about what this child is looking for, and I'm talking anything from an infant all the way up to a teenager, and it could be anything from toys to clothing to makeup, whatever. If it's a young girl who's never had the experience to have makeup of her own, it's an opportunity to give her makeup. But she'll give you their information. You provide however much you want to spend to buy them a Christmas present. You bring it down to our District 1 station officer, and he'll put it in my office, and then later on in the year, I think right after the 15th, we'll bring it down to the orphanage and provide it to those kids.
Thank you.
Last year she did 200 kids because she's in the academy and Kristen's a little busy because the academy is kind of intensive. She's only doing 100 kids this year. So if anybody wants to get a hold of her, her email address is kalexic@scottsdaleaz.gov, and she'll be more than happy to give that kids information out to them.
Thank you.
Great.
A couple more things I want to say real quick is that, we traditionally have Police Officers Scottsdale Association does their taking kids out of shop.
Well, I think it's called
Sirens and Sleigh Bells.
and Sleigh Bells, sorry.
That event is coming up, and we posted them on the show a number of times. They're still conducting that event every year, and we also have, in partnership with Paradise Valley Police Department, we have 2 food bank opportunities to help with the Vista del Camino food bank, and I think one's coming up on this Saturday.
Saturday, and then following the 13th.
Okay, so Saturday is where, Eric? Do you remember?
I remember the one on the 13th.
Okay.
That's at the Shea.
That's it.
location.
Okay, so that's at Shea.
Right.
Then the one coming up soon is.
We'll put it on-
we'll put the
it on the
information. I don't want to
bottom
give
of
bad
the show.
information.
Yeah,
But
we'll
anybody
make
that wants
sure
to come
we
and
put it.
participate for that, we'll put
Yeah,
that.
that'd
So
be great.
we'll put all these events up. Couldn't be more proud of you all. Thank you all for being our guests.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for coming
Happy
today.
holidays,
Happy
healthy holidays to all of you. Good luck.
Thank you. I know.
That pretty much does it for us this month. End of the year. Have a wonderful holiday season, a safe holiday season. Be careful. Make plans ahead of time. Get a designated driver. Use one of the many companies you can use to get home, but please be safe. And then at the same time, have a happy, wonderful new year, and we're going to see you guys right after
We'll
2018.
see you next year. I love to say
Okay,
that.
go ahead and say it. You got what you
I'll
say.
see you next year.
Yeah, I guess I will too then. Have a good one.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank
Be
you.
safe.